Australia has a massive debt problem, and Australian society generally has a debt-to-income ratio of 190%. The people that the Salvation Army work with, their debt-to-income ratio currently is 255%, making them very vulnerable to any sort of financial shock that may come along. The sort of financial shocks that people may come up against are just things like losing your job, losing your overtime, perhaps relationship breakdowns, but also economy-wide things like increases in interest rates. The people who come to the Salvation Army's financial counselling service are often in very extreme debt. The people who come along are often borderline bankruptcies. They've tried to keep the ship afloat for a long time by accessing any sort of credit that they can get hold of. And that's a natural enough thing to do when you're in crisis. So they'll often access credit cards and other forms of debt, and that makes the hole a whole lot bigger. People are under a lot of pressure to use credit cards to keep their financial situation on track. When you're in financial difficulties, you'll do whatever you can do to keep things going okay. So you'll use that credit card to assist you with paying the mortgage, paying the rent, paying for the electricity, paying for the car repairs, that might come up, or whatever it is. So credit card debt is there and you'll access it if you can. Expensive loans are a big part of the problem for the clients that come to the Salvation Army's financial counselling service. They've had to access debt to keep their situation going, and that sort of debt is often very, very expensive. Credit card debts are very expensive, and payday loans and consumer leases are very expensive forms of debt. Housing affordability is a massive issue for clients that come to the Salvation Army's financial counselling service. Currently, those people pay about 37.2% of their income just on rent. That's way above the acknowledged stress level of 30%, and that leaves very little for people to use and pay on other basic cost of living expenses. Cost of living is a real issue for people who come to the Salvation Army. However, we do find that people come to us actually budget really well on the incomes that they have. The problem is that they don't have a buffer when unforeseen circumstances happen. We say to struggling Australians to really avoid debt as much as you possibly can. And if you get into trouble, don't use one form of debt to pay off another form of debt. Try and get yourself in a position where you can withstand those financial shocks or unforeseen circumstances as they come along, like building up a savings buffer and like taking out affordable insurance on things like your car and contents in your house. If things do go wrong, talk to the people you owe money to early and try and set up some sort of affordable repayment plan. If that doesn't work out too well, come and see a service like the Salvation Army Moneycare to help you through the situation. If you'd like to improve your financial well-being, go online at salvos.org.au. There are some great resources on there to help you, like our money management app, You're the Boss. Through there, you can also contact a financial counsellor.